So let's give a round of applause to our bronze sponsors. And now, the first bronze, the Metropolitan Police Mobility Project, creating an effective digital service for police and public. Come on up, Rachel.
We've got about just over 400 devices in the borough, and they're mainly issued to the operational officers, which are the response teams and the community police officers. And we have seen an increase in patrol time of approximately about an hour for the response teams, whereby they've cut down their travelling time. So whereas before they used to report a crime and then come back to the police station, now they actually deal with it out in the streets. They can record it straight away, and by having the use of the device, it's able to send it and update the main network within the organisation. So information can be got a lot more swifter, and the officers can then move on to the next call.
Now, because we have the iPad, we can complete it at the scene with the victim. We can give them the reference, and that is the beauty of the iPad, is that it keeps you out and about in your uniform where the public want you, doing your job.
We used to build in a couple of hours at the end of each shift so that officers could update their reports. Now they actually can deal with it contemporaneously. They do it at the time, at the scene, and so when they come back to the police station, there's less for them to do. The increase of usage has gone up dramatically during the course of the year, so we're seeing compliance rates around the high 80s, 90% as far as completing of reports. Officers prefer to actually use the devices because it assists them and supports them in their work and delivering policing, which has proven in the last year very successful with the officers, with the organisation, and hopefully at the end of the day with the people of London.
Yeah, I think so.
Giles, would you like to comment?
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, what impressed me so much about this was the stories that came along with it, and at every level, from really high-profile cases to just very simple things about somebody having their mobile phone returned to them, while they were in the airport, just as they were about to board to board a plane. Incredible. You could really see how it had affected people's lives, and that you'd managed to change the way that a very conservative organisation like the Met went about its work. That was just phenomenal, and also that you guys went out onto the streets with them. I mean, were there any situations where they were like, actually you better stay in the car for this one, or?
Not quite, but it did. I was wearing a snap vest at one point.
Well, congratulations. Thank you for putting it on the line.
Congratulations. And also, of course, bag and book. Next up, number 2 of 3, goes to quite a different project. MailChimp Snap for Best UX-Focused Business Solution. So come on up, Zachary Orr.
I was grabbing coffee in the common area with Drew, one of our mobile engineers, when our UX director, Aaron, approached us with an idea. His team had been visiting MailChimp customers at brick-and-mortar retail shops. We talked about an app that would allow customers to take and send photos of new merchandise directly from their smartphones to a MailChimp list. I started sketching right away, and we built the first iteration of MailChimp Snap in about a week. It was bare bones, just a bunch of big buttons to tap through campaign creation. With a final prototype in hand, our next visit was with MailChimp's creative director, Ron. After we gave him a quick demo, he pulled out a few unused design comps originally meant for another project. We considered leading with photos, he told me, of MailChimp's recent automation feature rollout. The thought was that photos would help users quickly recognize automation pathways. The idea was scrapped for automation, but it made a lot of sense for MailChimp Snap, which is a photo-based app. Once we had a beta version, we ran it by some customers to make sure the app met their needs. We walked an early prototype over to Tweeds, a handcrafted clothing shop and MailChimp customer in our neighborhood. During testing, one of the big aha moments was that users wanted to send multiple tests, just like in MailChimp. We also discovered that segments and groups weren't granular enough. Users needed the ability to send to a small handful of customers. In our final build, we introduced list search coupled with static segments. These were two essential features we discovered by visiting beta users. This kind of stuff is in MailChimp's DNA. Our product ideas almost always come from our customers.
Peter.
Congratulations, excellent work. We particularly appreciated how you were able to use strong user experience practice to drive a real kind of business solution, as we highlighted here. It's not just a cool feature or cool thing, it's something that your customers want, they're using, it's helping them with their business, it helps you with your business. And I think that kind of business orientation is one of the things that elevated it. The process, the highly iterative process, clearly designers and developers working together, and how that was demonstrated. And it felt right-sized, right? Like, this is the kind of thing that could very easily get over-engineered, could have too many features. Every idea kind of gets put in there, and you guys have kept it focused. I wanted to ask one hopefully quick question. You're probably familiar with the if I asked people what they wanted, they would have asked for a faster horse, right, from Henry Ford, and that's often the criticism of user-driven innovation. How do you take that kind of user input but not simply be slavish to it, figure out how to create something new and meaningful that wasn't necessarily explicitly asked for, but that solves their actual problem?
Yeah, and it's definitely a iterative process between our designers and our development team and our product team, and just figuring out, taking the input that they have and saying that's great. We totally understand what they want from that, but how can we make that even better? Like, this is a very surface idea, and we try to really dig into what it is that they would actually want, right? And so kind of like looking the next level, like, great, maybe they want, to send what they got in, their new products, but like, how can we make a really great experience for them alongside of that?
Cool.
Well, congratulations. And by the way, for everyone who's getting a Crystal Award, they come in these boxes. And so if you didn't get a box, afterward, come see Ryan, and he can give you your box. And there's a book and bag waiting for you. So, next up, we've got a very common winner at the UX Awards, who's won for many years now, and that would be Google, who is winning a bronze this year for most significant contribution to UX for virtual reality for our Cardboard Design Lab. Come on up, Alex Fauberg.
Writing about virtual reality is like dancing about architecture. When attempting to establish the best practices for designers of virtual reality applications, the design team at Google quickly realized it would be much more effective to illustrate and teach these principles directly in virtual reality. After reviewing all of the virtual reality applications currently available in the Google Play Store, as well as many applications for other platforms, the team identified a common set of patterns that were working well, as well as aspects of applications that were problematic for users. We synthesized these findings into 10 distinct principles for virtual reality. We built a Cardboard Design Lab to demonstrate them. It's an interactive mobile application that takes the best practices we've learned as an industry and turns them into experiences that even a first-time virtual reality designer can grasp viscerally and immediately. Here's an example. It is important for the user to feel grounded. Depending on your environment design, you may unintentionally make the user feel like he or she is moving. Notice how it currently looks like you are moving forward. But once we add in more objects, it becomes clear that you are standing still and that the cubes are in fact moving. In the application, you can walk through a set of single-purpose experiments crafted to interactively demonstrate more nuanced VR design principles. Shooting balloons teaches you about using a reticle. Riding a minecart teaches you about limiting motion to avoid motion sickness. In later lessons, the user can hike through and explore a redwood forest designed to demonstrate high-level VR design principles, such as gaze interactions, audio usage, proper motion, and more. With 100,000 downloads and a 4.1 rating on the Google Play Store, the Cardboard Design Lab has quickly spread through the still nascent VR design and development community, receiving broad praise and recognition. These interactive lessons have become the industry standard for best practices for VR design and have helped advance design in this new medium across every virtual reality platform.
So we're going to have our former Googler talk to a current Googler.
So I had to recuse myself from judging this project, and just because our names are both Alex and we worked at Google, has nothing to do with my comment on this. But what I really liked about this, besides the fact that it was pushing the frontier into new areas of interaction in the virtual space, was the fact that we spend so much time as designers in sign-up flows and onboarding. And what you did was put people right into the environment right away. And in gaming, it's called level 0. So you're immediately in the game as the experience. So you're not reading through a list of principles or even a do and a don't from material design. You're actually in there experiencing what it's like. And you've got the do's and the don'ts in there, but they're experiential. And I thought this was a really great way to bring these design principles to life for people. And the question I had for you was, it's really hard to come up with design principles that are actionable and people don't break. And I was curious how you came up with these principles.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the early days of heuristic evaluations, where they were created, like now we all know all of the Nielsen and Norman heuristics, but they were created by discovering things that were bad with applications. And with looking at VR applications, we'll try, and we're still at a point where you can try all of them, which is a little weird. It's kind of like the web when you could go to every website. Like you can actually use every VR application right now. So you use all of them, and you say, wow, this is really good, or this is bad, and we're not sure why yet, or you have to think about it. And you really kind of reflect on what we're seeing out there in the industry. And from that, distill it down to the core principles. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Don't forget the award. Congratulations. Great. So now we're going to move on to silver. Moving on up. Gotta like my beats. We'll lighten the mood a little bit here. So, one more commercial break. General Assembly has hosted and promoted many of our meetups in London, Boston, San Francisco, LA, and they're going to be doing UXies recaps here in New York. And Huge has been a huge help, and they have a wonderful booth over there. So they've supported us for many years, so we're very grateful to Huge. Modus has also supported us since the very beginning, and they won in the first year, and we're very, very grateful also to Modus's ongoing support